Hey everyone, this is Anonymous T. This is my backup channel, Anonymous T Podcast. In case anything ever happens to my main channel, Anonymous T, but nonetheless, please do not forget to like, comment, subscribe to both. We get into some other topics back here behind the scenes in the bushes because in this particular video, we are going to be talking love and marriage, Huntsville. You guys know why you were here. But in this video, the reason I'm doing this particular video on my backup channel is because I feel like in regards to what happened, I need to see more, although I'm kind of leaning towards a certain type of way. What am I talking about? What foreign language is Anonymous teasing? So the Fletchers are presenting themselves a lot more to the public. They're doing a lot more lives, a lot more interactions with the fans and all the things. And that's fine. The show's coming back soon, right? Or at least at the minimum, we'll get the trailer, right? Coming up here momentarily, right? If the show really slated to come back the end of April or May, right? But there was another live that featured Chris Fletcher's cousin, who I guess is like a female comedian of sorts, but was kind of making some disparaging comments about Melody Cherie Rogers and her album, her music, and all these things. And I'm kind of thinking to myself, okay, is this going to be another repeat of Marceau and Maurice's brother, where now all of a sudden, once that exposure hits, once that full-time check comes in, or that full-time status comes in on this reality show, now we're going to hear from all of these other people from the bushes that are going to come out and say whatever they want? Here's my thing, right? As far as family goes, right? If we're having a conversation and we're dragging somebody, or we're talking about somebody, or we say something we do or we don't like or whatever, we keep it in-house. We don't put that on social media. If there's an issue with somebody, or if there's conflict, or we're throwing shade, we throw shade. Well, at least in my family, we'll throw shade to each other's face, right? We'll drag each other to each other's face, because you got to have a thick skin in my family. But we do not hold back on each other. Now, some people in my family are more sensitive than others. So certain people we treat with kid gloves, but ultimately everybody knows where they stand. There's no secrets, right? There's no two-face, there's no backstabbing, none of that. If there's an issue, we address it at the appropriate time so that everybody is aware of what the situation. Now, every family has mess, right? Every family has drama. But I am confused about this cousin's quote-unquote comments, if it's coming from a place of a joke, if it's coming from a place of these are truly, Chris Fletcher's thoughts, possibly, but he knows if he says it, he's going to get dragged by the millimeters. Like, I'm just trying to figure it out, because remember, Melody Cherie said she's standing on business, and after all of the foolery that has been going on thus far with filming, like trying to make her film that Stormy event, even though they didn't tell her initially that Martell was going to be there, and she said absolutely not. And then also just some of the little games that are taking place behind the scenes, and the little shots that are being thrown from Carlos King and others, right? Whether they're on the show or not. And then what we're going to see of this drama, depending on what they edit out or edit in for us, regarding this girls' trip, still the up and down about Carlos King's podcast. Like, there's just a lot that has happened, and not even mentioning the ongoing case with Martell and, the Revenge P arrest and all of these things. There's like a million things that are going on at the second, right? But I just need to understand, is this like gossip behind the scenes about, things about Mel? Because I just don't understand, right? Is this secretly Chris's thoughts? Because he didn't check her. And again, here's the thing, right? Because I obviously talk a lot about other artists, other celebrities. And if you don't know, I'm not a fan of Beyonce's new album. It's nothing personal. I think there's only like a couple of songs I like, but for nonetheless, that's normal, right? To, maybe certain things are not your cup of tea, right? Certain things you may or may not, take a liking to, right? It doesn't mean that you dislike the person or dislike, whatever. It may just be something in particular that, hey, maybe that wasn't for me. Maybe I wasn't as into it. Maybe that's not my genre of music or whatever. But then there was other stuff, right? And I'm just trying to, figure out, okay, what is this agenda, right? Is this feeding into the same narrative that the other cast members have done in the past, which is, again, putting out those shots, sometimes either directly from the cast on social media or from their relatives on social media, to get the millimeters going, to get themselves in the news, to get themselves in the algorithms, and try to get themselves on their show. Like, that is part of the reason I didn't want to put it on my main channel, because I'm like, well, is this just a one-off situation? Or were they just trying to be funny? Because it's like, I can't gauge it, right? Because this is my first time ever, hearing about this person and seeing this person. So I don't know, ultimately, whether or not this is who they are. This is, they're talking about Mel like this on a regular basis. But I do find it interesting that pretty much every single person in this cast, past and present, or never on the cast at all, but is affiliated either via a friend or a relative, have so much to say about Melody Cherie Rogers. And that at the core is also very disturbing as well. That these people, especially the people who come from large families that have like a lot of family members that have a lot of different things that I'm sure is happening in their own families, but they make it a point to get on social media to talk about Mel or throw shade at Mel or be wrapped up in whatever Mel does or doesn't have going on currently in her life. And I just, why? Like, is this the formula? Does everybody else, have nothing else to talk about? Like, you're not going to talk about, your son allegedly being on Crime Stoppers, or, you said you'll address at a later date the things that your eldest daughter claimed regarding the timeline between when you and her mom broke up versus Nell allegedly being a side chick as well. Like, just make it make sense as to why I feel like we're just regurgitating the same type of cycle, right? Like, again, the attention that Maurice and Marceau's brother gets and still continues to get, and even was able to finagle his way on the show to specifically disparage Mel's mom and all of these things. And Mel had no knowledge that he was even going to be on the show. And it's things like this to where I don't know if this is a setup for this cousin to eventually be on the show, to be another op that is specifically there to shade Mel or to drag Mel or whatever, because the Fletchers don't want to do that because they want to pretend that they're being neutral, that they're cool with Mel, that they're cool with Martell and all these things. But I don't know, just something doesn't feel right about it, right? Because it kind of reminds me of the Stormy situation where Stormy didn't have the smoke for Mel, so now in comes her mom, right? In comes her mom, and all she wants to talk about is, her social media account from the earlier seasons of how much she hated Mel. And no basis, never met Mel, didn't know anything about her, but basically was just coming as, from the perspective of somebody who was a fan watching the show, but clearly didn't take a liking to Mel, right? So that's where I'm kind of at this crossroads, so to speak. Like, I'm kind of leaning toward this is not appropriate. This is not a good look as well. But I don't know if this is going to turn into a thing, such as, what Marceau and Maurice's brother is trying to do with, like, trying to have a platform, trying to gain attention by specifically, saying negative things about Mel and Mel's mom, and, bigging up Martell and all of the things, and trying to, spread the lies that he had said and all of that. Like, I don't know how far this is going to go, because this is kind of like the first instance of things, right? So, but I did want to talk to you guys about it, because I wanted to hear your opinions. Do you think that this cousin is an op, or they were quote unquote joking and I misinterpreted the joke? I didn't understand the joke. I missed the joke, because it just seems very odd. Like, we don't know you, but all you're out your mouth is stuff about Mel that's negative. like I just don't understand. And I don't want to come from a place either that's like, oh my gosh, you know, we have to tell Melody, like, shut it down and not talk to anybody and blah, 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 blah. Like, I'm not that person, right? Everybody is free to like, dislike who they want, right? However, ultimately, I don't like two-faced people, though. I don't like people who are hypocrites and, you know, try to play in Melody's face when it's all good, when Mel's successful, when Mel's throwing $100 bills at you guys and you guys are keeping it and all these things, but then you're still going on platforms with your relatives and it's okay for them to shade them and you don't correct them. And you don't say, hey, that's too far. Hey, that's not appropriate. You just sit there in silence because either you secretly agree and you secretly had this conversation with them, or you don't want to look like you're too much Team Mel. You don't want to piss off Martell and get a call from Martell because you're still cool with him as well. Like, I just need to know what the angle is, right? But nonetheless, that is what has happened. And I'm going to keep my eye on it. But like I said, the reason I put it here on my backup channel, back in the bushes, because I didn't want to give it, you know, life on my main channel if it's not really going to be a thing. And I'm sure there's probably other content creators who are talking about it on their platforms as well, those who did see it and all of the things. So there is that. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Please do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you're notified the moment I post new content on my channel. And with that being said, I'll talk to you guys again very soon.